Hey everyone, I'm Jessica with Hashtag Show, and I'm here today with James A. Woods and Nicolas Wright, who wrote and directed the new movie French Girl. Thank you both for talking with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Now, how did you two team up and tell me about the original idea for the film?
Well, James and I are both from Montreal, and we both met as actors on a feature film, and then we did a series here together.
23 years ago.
It's a long time. It's a
We were
long
literally little boys.
Yeah, we were. And then we sort of subsequently moved to LA kind of separately but together to pursue our acting career. And then very quickly realized we had a good chemistry as writers as well. So we started writing. And this film, we kind of originated a long time ago, probably about like 10 years ago, and then just put it in a drawer and we got busy with some other stuff. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, the opportunity came up to sort of take it out, dust it off, and see if we could sort of get any traction with it. But basically, it comes from the fact that we're both from Montreal, and both our fathers are sort of English Canadians who married French Canadian women. So we had this sort of similar provenance, and we said there should be a romantic comedy that sort of laughs at this and showcases this. And so we wrote this kind of love letter to our home province of Quebec, and that was the genesis of it.
That's amazing. So how did the idea change from when you first had it 10 years ago and then you pick it up and you start actually working on it now?
I mean, in its essence, it didn't change that much for what Nick, just pointed out. Like the story is the story. But I think early on, we realized that we would love the opportunity to reach a wider audience. And so narratively, we're like, well, it would be interesting to make our Englishman an American as opposed to a Canadian like our fathers were, and see what that story looks like. It didn't really change the integrity of the characters and what that kind of fish out of water story would look like. And outside of that, I mean, it was
pretty much that.
It was pretty much that. And where we did work hard is just to make sure that it was funny, and it's a bilingual film. And so the challenge there was to have jokes that are subtitled work on both sides. If you're reading them, they're funny. If you're listening to them as a francophone, it's also funny. So that was a little bit, I think, the closer we got to production, something that we were trying to fine tune to make sure that the bilingual side of things was kind to either listener.
Yeah, because comedy is so culturally specific. It's really difficult to translate literally and figuratively. Like it's some jokes just don't carry. So some of the translating was a really interesting nuance that we had to finesse, as James said.
Absolutely. Do you have any specific jokes or moments from your mind that stand out as being really difficult to try to capture?
I mean, it's hard to explain them. There's the one that's I guess can I swear in French? Moi, Premier ministre, je m'en calisse in French.
Yeah.
This sort of sassy French cop at the end is sort of like when Antoine Olivier Pilon's character says, "Hey, I'm a cop and I need to use your car for this car chase," and she sort of says, like, cavalierly, like, "I don't give a crap," so to speak. The way we did it in French is very specific to French Canada, and it's kind of the rhythm of French Canadian comedy. Did not translate in English. Literally, we had to kind of take the essence of it and figure out how to do it. And it's funny because my mom's a translator. She was a translator for her career. And
so was my mom. And
it's
very bizarre that both of our moms are translators.
Yeah. And so we got to kind of live
both of our moms are French, by the way.
Yeah. We got to kind of live their career, while we were doing that. And it's the art of translation it is an art, like it's not easy. It's so.
Another one that was like really, really specific, but very simple to explain. There's a very famous chef here who's a TV host where the sister says, if you're going to be the next blank, you'll have to work on, da-da-da. And in the subtitles, I think it's Rachel Ray.
It's Rachel Ray, yeah.
But over here, if you're a French Canadian and you're watching the movie, it's
José.
It's Stazio.
José de Stazio.
And that's like, you would hear it on screen and be like, that didn't sound like Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
Do they pronounce their R's differently
in
French Canada?
Yeah.
I don't know a ton of French, but that doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair. Why go for making Sophie a chef then? Specifically, is it just that France has such a strong connection?
Well, we wanted to eat good food while we filmed.
We wanted to.
And we knew that we would have to have on-set chefs to make said food. No, I think, Montreal and Quebec in general is a very food addict place where, family kind of wraps itself around the table, and there's a lot of emphasis on the I guess the culinary aspect of bringing people together.
Also, there's a sensuality to food, which I think adds to the romantic comedy, sort of the essence of it. It's Montreal and Quebec, it's a very culinary culinarily I don't know even how to say it, but like sophisticated.
Say it in English.
I'll try. So we wanted to showcase that as well. But again, like the sensuality of food and wine, it sort of dovetails nicely into the love and all that stuff,
Definitely. Okay, now I wanted to talk.
It's like, sorry, I'll add to that just really quickly. Like it is a thing when you come back home, and we, like Nick said, we lived in Los Angeles for over 15 years, but when you come back to Quebec, whether you're going to a friend's house or your family's place, etc., it's like every dinner kind of turns into a Christmas feast.
Yeah.
And you're like, guys, it's May 7th.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Why are there 18 dishes on the table and it's just wine and laughing, and you stay too late.
It's the joie de vivre.
It's the joie de vivre, right? Which is like that might as well be on the license plates here. And so we kind of wanted to include that. We wanted to include that in the story, which I think we addressed very quickly. I mean, on page 10, as soon as the wheels touch down, proverbially in Quebec City, we're just thrust into this enormous family dinner where Gordon, Zach Braff, is just rubbernecking because it's the chaos of a Quebecois family dinner. Anyhow, yeah.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned Zach Braff. I did want to talk about your casting process for the film. Since you had been working on this movie for a long time beforehand, did you have specific actors or a type of person in mind for who you were going to play each character?
I mean, literally a Zach Braff.
Yeah, literally.
That was like, he was top of the list. And, the conversation at first was like, well, we can't get him, but who is a Zach Braff type?
Yeah.
And ultimately, through our producer, Anders Bard, we were able to get Zach Braff's script, and he responded to the material and wanted to get on a call with us. And so then we Zoomed, and we just had a beautiful 30 minutes where the three of us just laughed, and he was already riffing and just doing what he does so well.
I think what was great working with him as well was, look, this is our first feature, and I think for actors that's always a sort of a question mark: is, can I trust these people? Are they going to make me look foolish? Do they know what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a director himself, a very accomplished director, and I think he was great as his film acumen is so high that when he approaches his character work as well, he's not only thinking about his own character, he's thinking about the whole movie. So he had a lot of really great notes just about the story and little things to finesse. And it was really great to have another filmmaker, and Luc Picard as well, plays the father in the film, Evelyne's father. Sophie's father,
very accomplished filmmaker,
also an accomplished filmmaker. It was great to have these guys around just to honor.
It also made it made sure, at least in pre-production, by the time we went to camera, that our homework had to be top notch, because you're coming to town with a bunch of very qualified storytellers. So you have to double down on the minutes you spend making every decision, and that was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
That was really, really helpful.
Definitely. And now, since you are both from an acting background, what experience did you take from being in front of the camera, or what did you learn from being directed that you then tried to take and bring back when you were the ones directing?
I think it's really, since we've never
been hired to do such a good movie.
That's not true.
No. You know what? It's really I think where we I think excelled and enjoyed our time in front of the camera was when we were given the latitude to explore the character and give our own fingerprint. And we worked a lot together. We did a bunch of TV shows and movies, etc., and where we were on camera together. So as we became writers and then subsequently directors, we're like, we must trust that the actors, at least give them the chance to do that if they do want to do that. And of course, with a comedy, that's so important, right? To really lean into that. And so that was one of the first things when we would talk to actors and ask them to be a part of the project, was to tell them, look, we once you're the part, it's yours, and we trust you with that, and we want to explore, and it's a safe place to explore. And so I think that was like pretty much something that as actors we wanted to reciprocate and replicate,
Yeah, I mean, we're collaborators just by nature because there's two of us, so we're always collaborating. But as James said, like it's so important to make them feel like a part of the team. We're always company men. We love to work with a group, and we love to incorporate everybody's ideas. And the best idea wins is our mantra. Like
we're comedy teamsters.
Yeah.
Jimmy Hoffa, here we come. I know where he's buried.
I
I have to tell you.
Tell her now.
No,
Tell the people.
I can't say this.
Tell the
online.
people. They want to know.
Tell the people.
But yeah, and it's just, and also every actor is different, and that's the other thing is every actor needs to be directed slightly differently. Everybody's got a different process, and I think we're hypersensitive to that because we have our own processes as actors. And
the only actor that doesn't need to be directed is William Fichtner.
Yeah,
the man needs no direction.
No.
You just have to say action, and then you watch.
Oh God, what a dream it was to work with him. That guy.
But work with him again. Yeah. 8 years later, we did Independence Day, and we became literally the three of us like brothers and best friends.
Oh.
And so when this movie came around, and we're like, we need someone to play, Gordon's father. We called him up. He's like, of course I'm going to do it. And we're like, oh my God, really?
God.
And
on one condition that he got to wear a beard. We're like, done.
Yeah. He's like, I want a beard. We're like, I think that's, I don't know if we have money.
I think we can do it. We'll find them.
Can you grow a beard? He's like,
hell no.
I don't have time to grow a beard. I'm too busy shaving. And we're like, all right, we'll figure out a beard. We'll figure out a beard.
Yeah.
Very specific, but achievable enough demand, I suppose.
Exactly.
Very.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's not he's reasonable.
Now, I know you're talking a little bit about improvising and trusting your actors, and I was wondering, was Ruby always going to sing, or did that become a thing once you got Vanessa Hudgens on the team?
No, it was always in the script. It was always, we just had to keep ratcheting up the tension, and she's always got to be outperforming Gordon and outshining Gordon. And we thought, what better arrogant way than to sing at a funeral of someone you don't really know that well?
A song that you've like originally penned the night before.
Well,
but it did grow. It did grow when it was Vanessa Hudgens. We're like, oh my God, this we can now really do.
Yeah, I think at first as well, we were going to do any track that was sort of known and written already, but A, that costs a lot of money to get the rights to do that, and B, James is a very talented, accomplished musician in his own right, and he had this song that he wrote years ago, just as a joke with his brother.
With my brother, who plays the Australian chef in the movie.
Yeah, and at some point,
I told Nick, I'm like,
we should
hey man, I wrote like, and again, not to diminish any faiths or religion, but there was like this time in in the early 2000s where like Christian rock was exploding, and my brother and I, after a few beers at the piano, were like, let's write a Christian pop rock song, and then cut to 20 some years later, we're like, Vanessa, I have exactly the song that you can sing. But the tricky part with Vanessa is because she is such a formidable voice and musical talent. We're like, okay, we need you to sing really well, but badly.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird direction, right?
Yeah.
To be like, no, you got to crush it minus 10%.
Yeah.
And she absolutely nails it because it's so beautifully shitty.
Yeah.
If I can.
Overly indulgent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like hits the notes, but there's just an inflection of being off,
Yeah.
Which for her was like, to talk about someone who's willing to put themselves on the line there, to be that vulnerable and open to sounding great but badly, and she trusted the process and just gave it. And I think it's a real winner in the movie, and obviously in life she's just an absolute gem.
Yeah, and Ninja, hopefully she does more comedy because she's clearly well suited for it. She has a musician's brain and an instinct for rhythm, which is obviously key to good comedy. So it's kind of criminal that she's not in more sort of comedic roles.
Yeah, she's like, why am I only in Oscar nominated movies or Bad Boys?
That's a weird career choice.
Yeah. Do small movies.
Do small, very, very small movies.
Do bilingual movies with us.
She's invited to the next one, I take it.
She is. Yes.
She definitely
100%.
is. She's invited to whatever she wants to be invited to.
Yeah.
Very fair, very fair. All right, my time with you guys is running out, so I have one more question for you.
Of course.
Since this is your feature directorial debut, I want to know what scene, now that you're looking back at the film as a whole, what scene are you most proud of? This could be something that's most like your original vision. It could be your
You
favorite.
know what?
Wow.
One of the first, I'll just say
Yeah.
on my end, one of the first scenes that we proudly showed people was the opening dinner scene, which happens very, very soon after Gordon, played by Zach Braff, Gordon gets to Quebec City with the whole family. And when we wrote it, we, you know, having been directors on pilots, et cetera, and certainly writers on bigger films that have these kinds of sequences, we know how challenging it is in terms of coverage. Not to bore you with specific directorial stuff, but we're like, man, this is like a table of 12 people. Everyone has dialogues. Everyone is looking at each other. We need to infuse it with, obviously, the point of a rom-com is also com, which stands for comedy. We're like, so we got to get into that. And we shot that over 2 days. And it
We
was
did it in a day.
well, we did in a day with extra stuff and
Yeah.
you know in the kitchen, but
It's great because it covers the tone of the whole film.
Exactly.
In that whole scene, there's pathos, there's the fight with the son and the father, there's this sort of like slow burning antagonism of Vanessa coming in and her character kind of, you know, turning the screws on Zach.
you can hear the piano keys start to play a little bit higher. And you know, we when we got into the edit suite, that was one of the first things that we really tackled. And I think we felt safe.
Yeah.
We're like, shit, this actually works and it's funny and there's heart. There's also, like Nick said, like all the players are involved, the people that matter. And like narratively, it kind of dresses the table. And I think still for me, it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it's also what inspired the film, right? Family, food, the joie de vivre that we were talking about.
Yeah. Also, a quick one though for me as well is the body sequence.
Oh yeah, I mean,
which, not to spoil it,
we were crying.
But the physical comedy,
crying.
We did rehearse that with Zach and our stunt team. That was a really technically difficult thing to shoot. But that was quite satisfying to edit. When we saw we had it, we were pretty happy because it's not easy to do physical comedy, and yeah, I think we did okay with that.
And really, like, a testament to, you know, the bilingual nature of this film means we got to cast French Canadian actors, and the province of Quebec is a little isolated. Like, you know, if you go to Finland or Denmark or, you know, these countries that harbor, you know, their talent and really celebrate that talent because there is a market that is very specific. So we were lucky enough to film with truly movie stars, outside of Zach and Vanessa and William Fichtner and Ed Weeks. You know, we had these incredible movie stars that every scene was our favorite because we could just watch this talent and say the words that we'd written, you know, on the camera that we're holding. So it was basically us being blown away every day.
Yeah.
Every scene became our favorite scene. Not because it's good, no, just because we were just so amazed,
blown away
that this talent said yes to us.
They all made a mistake.
they all effed up.
Yeah.
But don't tell them. Don't tell them.
The movie's shot, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's in the can, man.
We got away with it.
We got away with it.
You know, I think it can be your favorite and also it can be good. I think you managed both.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
All right. Well, everybody should go check out French Girl. It is going to be releasing soon. We'll have the details for you in the description. Thank you both so much for talking with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.